So, this is how I've learned to deal with depression. First off, I never really understood what depression was in the first place. So, depression seems to be a state of mind that is mentally deteriorating for whatever reason. So, anything that is negatively impacting your life in a way that makes you feel like you're sad or upset about anything. So shame, guilt, remorse, anything like that. So, um, um, anyways, so my dealings with depressions. So, my entire life, I was, maybe not my entire life, maybe like since I was like 8 years old, I was heavily depressed, and I couldn't figure out why. And I was really like wondering to myself, like, what exactly am I supposed to do about this? Or like, what am I supposed to, like, am I supposed to just live in this pit of just uncomfortableness? Like, it got to a point for me that I didn't have to, but like I chose to turn to drugs to help with that depression. I ended up going really deep into that, and it caused me a lot of more depression, and it caused me a lot more anxiety. But it also helped me to learn how to deal with it in a way that is different from what all of society has ever tried. So, anyways, the way that I learned how to deal with it is I went through a couple of huge dark nights of the soul, and they were really bad, and they lasted for about a month apiece. And the first one was drug-induced from me ingesting PCP and having an ego-death experience and freaking out and finally learning what it means to be suicidally depressed, I guess. And I dealt with that for about a week and a half, to a point where I couldn't even go outside of my house. And I was just like so distraught by everything that I couldn't figure out how to live my life. So, moving through that, I, like, continuously just abused drugs, and it caused me to have that dopamine fix and that serotonin regulation, I guess, but like it also took all of that back from you in droves. So it basically just it would put you in a state of depression that was even worse than what you were in the beginning. So I ended up spiraling down pretty damn far, and that spiral ended up causing me a lot of mental trauma. And now I'm sober and happy and in nature and just feeling good, and trying to just live my life to the fullest and to give my message to as many people as possible. And this is like a first actual video that I've done, so like it's, a little shaky, a little off, but I'll get there. Anyways, so looking into these notes, depression. Man, oh man, depression is like, it's a killer, like literally. I've noticed nowadays, it's the 8th of August right now, and it seems like a lot of suicide rates around the world and a lot of depression has been skyrocketing, spiking, and it's been causing a lot of just like turmoil and just like confusion in the entire collective consciousness of everybody, and it's been causing just like so much trauma for everybody. And now that the earth is moving from this like third density into this fifth density like state of consciousness, it's causing a lot of people's they're, for one, having a lot of past life regressions. Two, people are starting to wake up to like all of the karma that they've built throughout their entire existence. So like, as a lot of people can understand, that this existence that we're in right now is not the be all end all of everything. Like this human body is literally just here for a snap of a finger, a glimpse of a time. It's just all it's only here to to show us lessons of how to love and how to just polarize ourselves in a more quick fashion. So like, I know this is getting more into deep esoteric stuff, but like, this is how I learned how to deal with depression. So I turned to spirituality. I started meditating, and at first I wasn't very good at it at all, and I was really just like all the time, like just like super anxious. And like as I started meditating, I would go from being able to do it for 1 minute, and then 10 minutes, and then I got to a point where I was meditating for literally anywhere between between 6 and 8 hours in a day, because I literally just couldn't handle anything that was going on, and the meditation was the only thing that kept me from wanting to go back into drugs and trying to find other ways of like just satisfying myself in whatever way. Now it seems that I'm just going to do this through YouTube, and it really seems like the only thing I really ever wanted was to be heard. But yeah, so with depression, it seems like noticing first. Okay, here are the steps. We're 6 minutes and 15 seconds into this, and I'm just not getting to the steps. Okay, step number one is to notice what the feeling of depression feels like. Alright, so this feeling is a specific vibrational frequency that we label with the word depression, right? So like, this feeling is a feeling that is noticeable, and when you do notice it, something will click, right? You'll be like, oh, that's what that feels like. Oh, I don't have to identify my being with this feeling that I'm feeling, right? So like, you feel a feeling, and then next thing you know, you're like, okay, I see it now. I see it. I see it. I see the feeling. I feel it. And what happens is it loses its power. It loses its grip, its hold. So you feel that feeling, and you let it happen. And then next thing is to analyze that feeling and to find the root of where it's coming from. And it's not where it's coming from particularly. It's more of like what is causing this feeling to be pulled up over and over and over and over and over again. It's a cycle. It's a karmic cycle is what they call it. So like, depression is literally just an inability to deal with these karmic ties that you have caused yourself over many past lives. So like, and you may not even remember it. That's why like, it's a lot of people are like hella depressed right now, and they're just sitting there and they're like, why is this happening to me? Like, I didn't deserve any of this. Like, they're good people, blah 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 blah. And they don't realize that in many past lives that they've done a lot of things, and they still need to be able to like, make up for that. And that's why they're here in this moment in the first place. And with everything that's going on right now, it's causing people to not even be able to like even look at like the issues behind everything, because they're so distracted by the fear that the media and everything is producing, and they're so distracted by this COVID-19 and all of this bullshit that's happening in the world, that they can't see that like under the surface, like all of this stuff, like if they were to not be distracted by all of this, that they would be able to just like all of a sudden, maybe fix their depression, or like learn how to live a decent life in the first place, like. But anyways, so the third step would be to, after you've identified the feeling of depression, you've noticed the feeling of depression, you find the root cause of this feeling of depression, which is not easy to find, okay? So like, it takes meditation, and it takes a second for you to be able to just step back from yourself. So you're here. This is me, kind of. I identify as me, kind of. But like, the only way to be able to not get caught in this mindset is to take your mind, rise up above yourself, look at yourself from this angle, and then see how ridiculous it is to get caught up in this kind of stuff. Because when you start to realize the nature of reality, this is the step number 3, I guess, or 4 that I found for myself, was like to identify the nature of reality. And I realized how much of a fucking joke everything is, and I realized that depression is just another one of the jokes that's played on. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's just a feeling, literally. So like, you don't have to identify with that feeling, Like, you don't have to be like, I'm depressed. Like, even if you're sad, you can still be happy. You can allow yourself to be happy when you're sad, or happy at the fact that you're sad, or happy at the fact that you even can feel sadness in the first place. Like that's another thing. Gratefulness, huge, the biggest thing ever. You know, being grateful for the fact of just being alive, being able to come outside and then look at nature and see the beauty of all this stuff. You know, like it's amazing, and a lot of people overlook that because they get so caught up in their lives and what's going on right now that they're caught in fear, and they can't realize that there's so much to be grateful for, and there's so much to see and just do here. It's just it's so amazing. It's literally like something that it's a miracle, you know. Like being alive is just it's a miracle, and I'm more grateful for it than anything, because like I've realized the power of feelings, you know. Like, yeah, it seems that emotions guide and direct us more than anything else in this lifetime. Emotions and feelings rather than thoughts and actions. So like our emotions seem like, it's like, say you fall madly in love with somebody, right? That's going to take precedence over everything. You know, like in your head at that point, that love is more important to you than any money that you could ever have, than any material possessions you could ever have. Why? Because love is the thing that makes up everything, right? And they're trying to hide that from us at the moment. Like, they're trying to keep people in fear and depression, right? And then like once you realize that you can just love yourself and you can love everybody around you, then your depression just all of a sudden starts to dissolve, because you realize the beauty of everything. You know, like anxiety is a little different of a story, because like depression seems to be from stuff in the past, and anxiety seems to be from stuff in the future, right? So like anxiety is just like you thinking like, oh fuck, like you know, like I didn't pay my car bill or something, and I'm gonna get like an audit for it, and I'm just gonna like you know, like that causes anxiety. It's reminiscing on the future. And then depression would be caused of like, oh, I shouldn't have broke up with this person like 10 years ago, and I still feel like my entire life is ruined because I broke up with this person. Or another example could be, oh, I have no money. I have no money at all. I have $3 in my bank account, right? And for some reason you feel like you need to be depressed about that, because you feel like your life won't go anywhere unless you have this specific monetary or material possession. So the way I learned about that was by getting rid of all money for myself and living with absolutely nothing, even though I had the ability to live with something. So like I decided to live with nothing and just go and be homeless for a little bit and talk to homeless people, and I learned a lot from that. And they taught me a lot about acceptance and about being in the moment and loving and just like always giving. So anyways, just the whole everything culminates to helping with depression, right? Like, it's just seeing the world differently. It's just looking at the world through a new filter. It's disidentifying with your past self and realizing that you can create a new future for yourself at any point. Disidentifying with the self that you've created for your entire life and this thing that you've built up, and realizing that you can build a new one for yourself, a new identity, a new persona, just by detaching from your brain, realizing that first of all, realize that you're an infinite creature, right? You're an infinite being, an infinite spiritual being that is only consciousness. Everything is consciousness, right? So like, if everything is consciousness and like we're all one, right, then we can all tap into other people. And that's why depression is also like skyrocketing right now, is because everybody's tapping into everybody else, and they're realizing that they're empathetic, and they're not realizing that their energy, they're tapping into other people's energy. So that's another way that I also learned to disidentify from depression, was that whenever I had a depressive thought, I would realize that thought is most likely coming from somebody else. Meaning, like, that thought that you're feeling is most likely just another person's thought being manifested into your head because of the fact that you are around them energetically. So the entire collective of the not just United, like the fucking world, the whole world, like the entire collective of the whole world is just like right now is just, in turmoil. And so everybody's feeling this, like everybody's feeling each other, and they're not recognizing the fact that they're feeling each other. So like they're identifying themselves with their feelings that they're feeling, even though their feelings that they're feeling are from other people. So like it's kind of hard for people to be able to pull themselves away from this depression, because they're so heavily identified with all the thoughts that come through their head. When all the thoughts that come through their head, like thoughts are not particularly yours. Like people have strokes of genius. Like they have strokes of madness, where thoughts come through their head and then they identify with them, and next thing you know, something happens, right? But you don't but these thoughts that's like flow, like it all flows through you. That's why they call it the chakras. Like they come down through you and out, or they come cycle through you in different ways. Like it's just all it is just waves of thought. And so if you can just learn to disidentify from those waves of thought, then you can pull yourself away from the vibration of depression and move towards into a vibration of love. And I'm sorry I'm rambling so much. It seems like I have a lot more to say than I thought I did, but I'll post more videos in the future and talk about this. And I have so much stuff to say. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I guess I don't know. I've given a bunch of different ways to do it. It's just more of it's about changing your mind. It's about changing the way that you think. It's about changing who you are, who you identify with. Um, Realizing that nothing in this external world, nothing at all is worth your peace of mind. Your peace of mind is more important than anything else in this entire world. So, put your peace of mind first, and then everything else second. And then you'll realize that depression is a state of mind. You can choose to identify or not identify with that state of mind. You can choose to be happy, or you can choose to be sad. You can choose to remember your past, or you can choose to forget it. You can choose to learn from your past, or you can choose not to. Everything is a choice. Depression is a choice. Anxiety is a choice. We all choose to feel these feelings because we need to learn something from them. We feel these feelings because we haven't learned the lesson that is needed to be learned from those feelings. So, thank you, and I'll come back and make more videos later.